Hey, good afternoon. This is Elevate Your Profits and Mark Gassert. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, Mark.
Hey, what's up?
Well, I know that you were out of town this weekend. A little
Yes,
yeah,
direct from St. Augustine, of all places, in Florida. So, kind of a cool place.
wonderful. How long
And
take you to get from your neighborhood to down
it took
there?
us about 6 hours.
About
We
six
went and
hours.
saw some friends that
Okay.
used to live in our uh, Peachtree Corners area here in Turnberry Oaks subdivision. So, yeah, we went and visited some friends. It was kind of fun.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Mark, today, I just want to just open up, Elevate Your Profits. We work with helping those that are maybe looking to become entrepreneurs, small businesses, and we're our guests that we come on tell stories about their
Right.
challenges, their success, their wins. And tonight we have a really, really incredible story that we're going to hear today. But we're going to focus on the success after all the challenges. And Ray will be coming on here in a moment. So uh, Ray and I connected on a live stream. He watched a presentation that I did about Bob Proctor after he passed. He's been coached through by a certified Proctor Gallagher coach, and so he understands what it takes to win on the mental side. So, but at this point, Mark, I'm excited to bring in our guest
Please.
this afternoon. And I'm going to bring in Ray, and I'm going to butcher his name again. I'm sorry, Ray. He's in there laughing at me. So,
Chobanian?
Chobanian, there you go, Mark. He's got a thumbs up. Ray, are you ready to come in?
Hello. Thanks
Good.
for
Hey,
having me.
Ray, what's up? Did I say your name right?
You did actually. You get a star.
Uh-oh, look out. I'm on a roll.
That's right. That's 1 in a million.
I think we started the show off with success. Let's cut it there. Good night, guys.
Yeah. Good job. Way to start.
Yeah. Well, Ray, what I'd like you to do, tonight, what we're going to do, we're not going to go into the deep dive of your story. I have a replay on that. Anybody wants to go to my Facebook, we're going to be able to put up your story as well in a banner here. But share with the audience a little bit about where you're at, where do you live, just real briefly about the challenges you went through with the addiction, your real quick about your near-death experiences with that, and what it was to move you forward to where you are today. And today we're going to be talking about your success in business, what you're doing. And I think your story is something everybody should be aware of for two reasons. Number one, addiction is a big problem in this country, a big problem. And you won that battle up to this point, and that's a battle that will always go on the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
But you take that, what do we call it, fortitude and desire to change your life and apply it in business. There's nothing but upside for you. So why don't you go ahead and start your story, and Mark and I will chat at you through the interview tonight.
All right. Can you hear me still?
You're doing great.
Outstanding.
Okay, good. My connection is a little laggy, but anyway, my name is Ray Chobanian. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, United States. And I own Prestige Digital Marketing. We are a digital marketing and branding agency here in Pittsburgh. And we do SEO, web design, branding services like logo creation, from nothing to something, brand building, just from the idea to conception, paid advertising on Google, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And we also do the social media optimization as well, and management. So that's a little bit about the business. As far as some of the struggles, so yeah, I battled with heroin addiction along with a lot of other addictions for the better part of 20 years. I'm 36 years old. So it gives you an idea of kind of the ratio of like life clean to life high. I mean, I made a career out of it, guys. I really did. I mean, I could tell you anything you need to know about getting high, but the good thing now is I can also tell you a lot that you need to know about getting clean. That's the important part. So I started using when I was 12. And when I was 13, I was introduced to heroin my first time. By the time I was 15, I was shooting up multiple times a day, robbing drug dealers, running around the projects, all that crazy stuff at 15 years old. I mean, I didn't have a driver's license yet. And I was into this stuff. So I didn't even really know what I was getting into when I got into it. I had, a tragedy. My parents got separated. It was a tragedy to me, and they got divorced, and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I found my solace in drugs, and I thought I had really arrived when I found that. I thought, man, this is really it. This is the answer to all my problems. But wow. At that age, you don't know any better. And I was always so curious anyway about that kind of stuff. I was extremely curious. But anyway, so fast forward to the age of 19, right? I'm a mess. I'm what, five plus years into my addiction of using I was using a lot. I don't even know how my body was able to process, because anything I can get into a needle, it wasn't just heroin. I should make that clear. Anything I can fit into a needle is good. I mean, whiskey, anything I could shoot into my vein, man, anything, crushing up pills, all kinds of stuff. So, and then I was mixing stuff too. So, at 19, me and two of my associates at that time went and got some drugs, came back to my apartment. I had somehow managed to get an apartment and hold on to it for a while. And one of my friends went first, and he just fell right to the floor almost immediately. Make a long story short, I revived him, gave him CPR. And then I said, wow, this must be really potent stuff. So then I went, and immediately it felt like a million bees just stinging me all over my body all at once. And I didn't even know how to conduct myself. I was so, and it was just coming on stronger and stronger and stronger. And it was very overwhelming. And I kneeled down, and I put my head like this down on my couch. And then I stood up. I didn't know how to what to even do. It was just taking me over. And I don't even know why I did that. And when I stood up, that was it. I guess I just collapsed. And in that moment, I felt, I became aware of complete nothing. Like it was just nothing, but I was aware of it. It was like I had an awareness in this void. And I suddenly felt all the pain and suffering of anyone I'd ever hurt in my past and anyone that would ever mourn me in my future, all at once. I don't know how it's just what my experience was with it. And then I heard this voice, which I believe to be the voice of God. It was a deep, firm, but yet caring, gentle voice that said, everything's going to be okay. Everything's okay, and he kept repeated that a few times. And then I felt this overwhelming joy, love, and peace just wash over my body. And it was like the exact opposite of all that pain and suffering. It was incomprehensible, something I've never experienced in a natural state. And I just had this peace, and I thought, okay, I didn't really know that I was dead or dying, or I didn't know. I was just aware of what was currently going on. It's like I had no memory of anything else. And then I started to slowly open my eyes, was the next thing I remembered. And there was a young woman standing over top of me who was a medic. And I actually knew her from high school. And like I said, we didn't really get along in school, but here she is saving my life as a medic. And it was just a humbling experience, to say the least. And So I saw my mom standing there crying, and then they took me out on a stretcher. They pronounced me dead on arrival. They said I was dead for 60 and a half minutes. And they hit me with all kinds of drugs to bring me back. They ended up sticking a needle, jamming it right into my heart with adrenaline. And that's what finally brought me back. I mean, they tried several methods, like the Narcan a couple times and a defibrillator. None of that stuff worked. So anyway, I was still high, like throwing up high, which is really for another 24 hours, even after all those drugs that's supposed to rip the opiates out of your system and bring you back. So I don't know. It was man, it was close. So anyway, fast forward 3 months, I quit actually that day, cold turkey. I went through a really, really horrible withdrawal, which I won't go into all that, but I couldn't even move or drink or anything for like 2 weeks. Then I started to be able to move, and 3 weeks in, I finally started to get a little relief. 3 months after that, I was going fishing with some friends, and I had to carry fishing poles and a cooler, and so my arms were full. I was going like this, and we had to walk down these rocks, like boulders, down this river embankment to the river to go fish. And at the very top, I took one step, and then my toe caught a rock, and I tried to catch myself, and it just gave me momentum, and I went head first over this river embankment, which was all jagged rocks, and I fell about 35 to 40 feet, and landed. The sharp edge of a boulder caught my head, and I landed head first on this boulder, and I got so busted up. I had a foot-long laceration on my right side. Another rock just sliced me wide open. And I came to a stop, and I'll just never forget that sound of the impact. It was just like bone being crushed, but in your brain. It was just such a traumatic experience. And I remember thinking, I'm alive and experiencing this. How is this possible? That's all I could think. And I stood up. And I don't even think I was knocked unconscious for a second. If I was, I don't think I was, but I stood up, and I had a friend there who came running down, and I had a cell phone in my pocket, but he called the ambulance, and this whole part of my head just fell, like from here to here and back to here, like this whole section of my head just fell. And there was just blood, like I could hear it like a garden hose, and it was like a fan of blood just squirting out everywhere, and it was running through the rocks. I was bleeding out of my side, out of my legs, my arms, my head. I had like holes in my body, meat hanging off me, because the rocks they just chew you up so easy. And yeah, so they got me to lay down. I didn't want to, but they got me to lay down, and then they had to get a boat, and they got a boat and cut all my clothes off. So I'm laying there naked. There's like a bunch of overlookers, and they get me on a stretcher and get me onto the boat, which was a feat. And I was like overweight at the time, really overweight. And they took me down to where a helicopter could land in a parking lot, put me on the helicopter. And this was my second near-death experience. It was like everything was gray and just fading away from me. It was just like reality was just slipping away. And the medic was yelling, keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open. And all I heard was a faint whisper. I could tell he was screaming at me, but I just heard a whisper, and I just wanted to go to sleep so bad. I was so tired. And the next thing I know, I remember them pulling me off the helicopter for a brief second. And then the next thing I remembered, I was sitting in a wheelchair in an operating room with a surgeon all suited up in front of me. And he was on the phone. And so I come to the surgeon on the phone saying, yeah, I got him here now. I'm cleaning out his brain. I'm going to put his head back together, and we're going to do our best. I think he's going to be okay. And I thought he was talking to another doctor, and I've later found out he was talking to my mom in that moment, which I just thought was like just hard to accept, I guess. And so I had to sit there for 4.5 hours while I did surgery to put me back together with just a topical Novocaine. They couldn't give me any drugs. Turns out I had lost approximately 90% of the blood in my body. And back up just a second on the helicopter, that near-death experience, I literally, people describe, I seen like slides, like that's the only way I can describe it. It was like slides of every scene of my life in like vibrant color. Every single scene of my life, just like a slideshow, like the pages of a book. Like you're just going like that to the book, just going by. And yeah, I don't really know what to make of it all exactly, but that was my experience. And so I had a traumatic brain injury. I had temporary amnesia. They had 314 stitches and 72 staples holding my head together. And I mean, the nerves were severed in my head and down my whole right side and right leg. The nerves were all severed. And
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, I got through that. I had I was like urinating blood for 2 months. I mean, I was bleeding the kidneys and liver, and it was a mess, man. I was a mess. And yeah, I got through that, got addicted to morphine in the hospital because they were giving it to me for pain, went home, went through another withdrawal, had some demonic entities show up. I mean, I was just going through so many things. I was like attacked by demons, and it was just, even after I got clean, I had some problems with that darkness coming into my life and like physically hurting me and trying to take me over and stuff. I mean, I just opened myself up to this. I was spiritually dead, to be honest. And when you're spiritually weak, you get attacked by these things. So that was my experience. And I stayed clean for a couple years. And then I got in good shape. I got married. I went through college. And then a couple years after that, the marriage started going south. And I ended up relapsing, ended up divorced. And downward spiral for another 5 years, which led me to homelessness, living on the streets.
Right.
Yeah, and I started this journey with 2 garbage bags of clothes in my name. So yeah, and I mean, I reached out, I got some help. I was grateful for the 2 garbage bags of clothes because some people didn't even have that, and just reached for some help. Yeah, and slowly but surely, just like learn how to walk, just putting one foot in front of the other. I went through recovery. I got 30 days clean, 60, 90, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years. And I just kept going, just real slow, just real unsure of myself, and just kept going. And we're coming up on 7.5 years now. And I've been through a lot. I was even homeless during the clean time, as I described in my story. Just trying to do it, trying to understand. And I finally just had to say, what am I doing to get these results? Like I had job layoff after layoff and job loss, and there was no stability in my life. And so I started to take a look at what I was doing with my results and why I was getting these results, even clean, trying to do the right thing and trying to better myself. And I would land decent jobs in engineering. It wasn't like I wasn't like I was, not able to get a half decent job, but I couldn't hold it. And the brain trauma too, it made it a lot more challenging, especially in that field of expertise, because you have to have your wits about you and intellect. So a lot of frustration, a lot of heartache, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I could tell you guys, I could sit here all day and tell you some of the craziness and what I went through. And I mean, at one point they diagnosed me psychotic. So I was just, so screwed up from all the substances. And
Wow.
Yeah, psychotic, extreme panic disorder. I would just black out from panic attacks at random. And you talk about a paradigm shift. Yeah, I really have shifted it. And so I went through recovery. I learned a lot of things. It was good. It was real good. And then maybe a couple years ago, I stumbled upon. I was at a job at a marketing agency, and business was slow. I was like sweeping floors at the time because it was the only thing there was to do. And it's right before COVID hit. And I was listening to YouTube. I had an earbud in, and a Bob Proctor video came on, and it was the Law of Vibration. Bob Proctor, the Law of Vibration. It's like a 2.5 hour talk that he did somewhere, seminar. And I was like crying because I never heard someone talk like that. Just like he says, he never heard someone talk like that before, referring to Earl Nightingale, I believe. And it was like he was confirming truths that were deep within, that like society, parents, friends, all tried to say, no, that's not, you just got to struggle through life. That's just the way it is. And there's not, this is just how it is. Do your best and struggle. And then until death. And I never could accept that. I never could accept that. Also, the doctors told me that by the age of 35, I'd be a vegetable. I'd forget my family's name. I might even forget my own name. And that's another thing I just never accepted. I just didn't want that to be true. And so I shouldn't even be talking to you guys today. If alive, I should be being tube fed in a wheelchair or something, according to the doctors. So I just, I have a habit of not accepting things that are less than what I want, which is a good, it turns out to be a really good thing. So since that day in October of hearing that Bob Proctor, I couldn't get enough. I was listening to it every single second I could. And I reached out to them. And Bill Banta, one of their coaches, got back to me, sent me an email, and I sat on the email for a month. I'm like, oh, wow, they actually replied, and it scared me. Yeah, I didn't think anyone was going to reply, and they did. And I finally called them, and we had a talk. And at the time, I couldn't afford the coaching. So I signed up for MSI Connect, this group that they had for maybe a year or roughly, and joined that. And man, it started to change everything. And I met some other people, built a community, and then I was able to get into coaching a few months later. And I did that for about 9 months, was my coaching stint with the TIR program in Proctor Gallagher. And I ended up meeting a guy in Norway. I became the creative director for he's a coach. He's a PGI coach. I became the creative director, helped him build his brand, kind of got my name out there, started to find a niche. And it was actually on one of the MSI calls I started my business. I was just, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the next step was. I just knew that I didn't want to keep working for somebody else. For years, I knew that. I just had something inside me, pulling me, like you have to do something yourself. I couldn't deny it. I couldn't ignore it. It was so loud. And
right.
Yeah.
I like to share, what you mentioned, you use an acronym MSI. Bob Proctor taught a lot about multiple streams of income. That's one of the things that I have implemented in my life. Mark is starting to use those principles. We teach those principles. What does MSI stand for?
Multiple sources of income, or multiple streams of income. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely a good thing to know and learn about. M3, M2, M1, all that stuff. Yeah. So
that led you to Bob Proctor, but was it through the MSI that you sort of got a hold of an idea to create your business?
Yes.
You'd like to share a little bit about, you mentioned that you did some branding and social media work for, I know both those names now it's recalling. So being part of the Proctor Gallagher Institute myself. So when did you launch your business, and talk about that journey and where do you want to take it? And, we're out here to support and promote you. And I tell you what, your fortitude is an example that we can all learn from, what it takes to win. I mean, you're winning in life, and that's a big thing. So
yeah. So I appreciate that. In November 2020 was when I started it, and it was like, I used to think, I don't know when am I going to make the jump? When am I going to do this? How am I going to, this is going to be hard. I had all those kind of thoughts. And on an MSI call, Tommy Collier, who used to be their creative director, just said, don't you like graphic design? Don't you do that? Aren't you good at that? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, take the path of least resistance. And right then and there, I just said, okay, well, I'm open for business. And just like that, I just started scared. And so I got that contract with one of the coaches in Norway, and we worked together for a year. That was beautiful. And then this January, end of January this year, 2022, I decided to start Prestige Digital Marketing. So I went from more of a freelance sole proprietor type thing to an LLC business. And because I saw a need, people want branding, they need branding, it's very important, but they also need marketing. You can design a brand, but then you have to get it out there. So I saw the need for that. And I figured out a way to offer world-class branding services at affordable prices. And that was kind of the key, was because I can't do it all on your own. So it was all this mindset changing from like being an employee to self-employed, and now moving into business owner. It's this like progressive mindset shift for me, which is really important to mention. But yeah, so now we offer not only branding and design, like logo creation, video editing, banners, content creation. Now we also do SEO, which is search engine optimization, so people can find you online. When you type in something you want online and you see a list pop up, we get you up on the top of that list instead of on the second, fifth, 10th page where no one sees you. So we help you to show up there. We also do the website design, from pretty much from nothing to built and anything in between. We can manage websites for people. We have a really nice reporting dashboard also, that our clients can log into and track progress, see campaigns, see where their dollars are going. Because we also do paid advertising online on Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And we also do the social media management, which kind of goes hand in hand. So again, all this stuff you can see on the dashboard, which is a really nice selling point for people. They like to see that. You can see, graphical representations of where it started, how it's going, the progress, and we just keep working with people. And we typically work with people for 3 to 6 months. You'll have some people that just want to do a month to kind of get started, which is fine. But to really start seeing good results, around that 3 to 6 month mark, because unfortunately there's not like a magic switch on our end that when you sign up, we just flip the switch and you're boom, you're there. It's some people think that, so it's good to mention. But yeah, so those are the things that we do.
That's interesting. I'll turn it over to Mark. I think Mark's got some questions or want to acknowledge some of our guests.
Yeah. There's a couple people out here. I'm just gonna. We got like a couple comments, and geez, they're starting to come in here now. So Eric Bam was first in the house, and then Patrick is in the house. He's from Canada, so there you go. You got a Canadian checking this out, so that's kind of cool. So there's other people out here listening as well. Maybe they'll be forthcoming with some comments as well. But I do have a question for you, my young friend. How did you get over that hurdle? Like what made you, when you were in the dark zone, as I like to call it, what made you like say, hey, I'm better than this. I can do better than this. We hear all sorts of things of people just complaining about not being employed or getting a job. But I mean, what Tom was talking about, you really had to fight for your life. So what was that turning point? I mean, did you like have an epiphany and the stars went off, or did you just say, hey, I got to stop this and I got to get my life together, and this is crazy. I'm far better than this. I'm not here for this.
Yeah.
Could you share that with us a little bit? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah, I definitely had those thoughts quite often. Like, I'm better than this. I have far more potential than this. There's more in me than this. This isn't the only thing I'm supposed to live for. I had all those thoughts. For me, my personal point was I had just suffered so much pain. Like, the pain was just so inhuman. It was so intolerable, and day after day after day, year after year. And I just reached a point where, there was just nothing left in me. And I just had so much pain that I just said, I was granted that gift of desperation, as I call it, the gift of desperation, really. It was like God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I was just so so beyond desperate that I just didn't want to suffer anymore. And I tried to kill myself. Like I really did. I tried to end it.
Wow.
And yeah, and I wasn't. I tried to overdose. I put a lot of heroin in my vein one night on purpose to kill myself. I went out and then I ended up waking up like at 4 a.m. in the parking lot of downtown Pittsburgh in a borrowed car. And man, I wasn't even grateful. I was actually upset that I'd woken up. And yeah, I just think that like after that, that was like a new low. I was like, man, I'm such a loser. I can't even kill myself, and I'm stuck. Worse than being a loser is I'm stuck. I can't escape this reality. And so I just had so much pain that I knew I had to do something different, you know. And in these recovery programs, they'll say we can't live with and we can't live without drugs. And so what is there left to do? You know, and the answer is you have to find a whole new way of life. So literally everything had to change. Everything had to change. And I wasn't even sure I wanted it. I mean, I'm homeless, jobless, strung out, and hopeless on the streets, and I'm still not sure if I need help. That's how cunning and baffling the disease of addiction is. It tells you need this just as bad as you need air, but you can't escape it ever, you know, and
Wow.
and that you don't need help, you know, and that there's not a problem. So you got to get past all that. First you have to admit, you know, okay, I got a problem. And then you have to become aware that maybe you can help it, like you can get better. And so it's just this, man, it's just this massive it's a spiritual process. It really is. I mean, just like anything in life, it's a spiritual transformation. But yeah, to answer your question, it was just so much pain and suffering. But then once I got a little bit of time, I still wasn't sure. And I just talked to other people, you know, I just started getting honest. That was the next big step for me. Like step number 2. First was like pain, kind of give it up a little bit, ask for some help. 2 was get honest. You know, I had to spew all that junk out that was in me that I was carrying around of like the stuff I did and how I felt so alien to the world. And I mean, man, I was just so low. I was so low. So little by little,
Wow.
you know, I started to come out of it.
You know, Ray, when we interviewed last week, you know, you really went deep into the story and some of the things, but a person came into your life, and she's in your life now, and you know, she believed in you. Is that correct? She saw something that you didn't see in yourself, and I think part of our growth in life is if we have those people that come to our life that believe in us, because many times we don't believe. And I just want to say, you know, recognize your partner in life now, that because we all need that angel. I call that an angel.
Amen. Yes. Yeah.
So
her name's Rachel, and we met actually when I was homeless a second time, clean, and had lost my job again. I was sleeping on the floor of a dining room in a friend's house, like underneath the table, because that was the only room there was. And
Wow.
I had met, and I'm clean. You know, I do a few years clean then, and I just kept telling myself, if I don't get high, this will get better. And anyway, so I met her. We went on a date, and within the first hour, I just honestly, truly fell in love. And I never believed in all that, you know, cliche type stuff. And it turns out she works in finance, right? And me being a drug addict, any money that came in my left hand went right out the right hand. There was no. I could spend 20 grand a month just getting high and I have, you know, honestly, no joke. And so I couldn't manage money, and I didn't even realize it then. But you know, I had to tell her, you know, hey, I'm a recovering addict. I'm homeless. I'm jobless. I hope you accept me. And that was really tough. But she actually had to think about it for a little bit. She had to process it. And I mean, I think anyone would. And yeah, she felt the same. She felt like there was a lot of potential. And yeah, she actually asked me to, you know, move in and stuff. Like a month later, we moved kind of quick, but it was we just had a knowing. And she is an angel. She sacrifices so much so that I can help serve my mission and purpose in life. And she just gives so much. She's just such a loving person. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful for her. So she sacrifices a lot so I can do what I do. And one other quick thing is I also now, it was like maybe our second or third date, and she invites me to her church. And I was kind of like odd about going to it because I grew up in like a split religion house. I was still trying to figure that out. Like I always believed in God, but it, you know, so anyway, I went. She tells me about this recovery group that they had, and I look into it, and it wasn't any longer. And she said, "Wouldn't that be something if you got that going? We're like the leader of that again." And well, fast forward about 2 years and a bunch of meetings and stuff and planning later, I actually now run. I'm actually here at the church about ready to do that group tonight. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
That's
so
great.
it is. I help other people get through what I've gotten through, you know. So it's just, and I teach like, you know, some of the Proctor stuff and mindset principles and recovery and all kinds of Bible principles we put in there too, and kind of relate it to that. So yeah, that's part of my path, and the marketing just goes hand in hand with that as well. I mean, pretty much anything you do, you have to have some kind of marketing, right? So you have to get the word out somehow. So all these pieces just, coming together, like the famous Steve Jobs quote. You can't see looking ahead, but only when you look behind, you can kind of connect the dots, and you just have to trust that somehow in the future it'll all come together. Yeah. So I'm seeing the dots connect as I look back, and it's quite a journey.
Ray, you said two things. You know, when you started dealing with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, trying to figure out what you want to do, and he planted a seed, and you took action immediately. It didn't sound like you vacillated, and I got to think this thing through. You sort of took action, and the same thing with your significant. That we need, this group. Maybe you should run it, and you took action, right? I think those are principles that everybody in business and in life, when you got to make a decision and take action immediately. You can't wait around, right? Would you agree?
I agree, because there's another quote, maybe you guys know who, but like if you don't take the opportunity, it'll flow past you and along to somebody else, So yeah, I mean, there's opportunities all the time. We just don't always act on them. And yeah, success loves speed. That's another thing one of my mentors taught me. Success loves speed, and that made a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, action, and like I said earlier, start scared. If you're scared, just start anyway. Like you can still do it scared. and most of my journey has been that. Yeah, very uncomfortable. But when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. So I know that's good.
I do have another quick question. You're in a very competitive industry. I mean, let's cut to the chase.
Sure.
And so how do you handle setbacks, since you got yourself out of a situation personally, your personal growth and development, because some people let a lost transaction, a deal, spoil their day. They're one way on the camera, and they're another way behind the curtain, so to speak.
Right.
Now, no one in baseball, nobody goes up there to strike out. I don't care who it is, and if it's youth league all the way up to the majors. So how do you handle? And I don't want to say failures. I've heard failure way to success, but these like hiccups or setbacks. How do you process that? Do you say, hey, next time I'm going to do this? Or, maybe you don't get that sale, but hey, next time when I'm in this situation, could you share with us how you process that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, studying the stuff that Bob Proctor teaches has really shed some light on that topic. Prior to, I used to handle it a lot. I used to beat myself up, but I don't do that anymore. Now I have an understanding of how things work, like the universal laws, for example. So when something happens, when a setback happens, I personally look at it. I try to look at like everything is working in my favor. I try to immediately look for the good. And I think that's a huge separating factor in success and failure, if you will, is just immediately looking for the good, because I truly learned every seed of adversity carries with it. Every adversity carries with the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. So I try to look at everything like that. And yes, if I come up short, because we all do, I try to examine that closely and then say, okay, what did I do to get this result, and what can I do differently to get a different result next time? So yeah, it's just like I try not to hold on to things. I try to just let it go and have the understanding that there is a systematic reason, there is like a scientific reason why I got this result, and I don't have to be upset about it. It's like just taking uncritical self-observation and then adjusting based on my reaction according to my aim, whatever my goal is. So that's really it. It's just learning how to not be so self-critical.
Yeah.
And taking a look and I'm not perfect by any means at that, but I'm getting better every day at it. And that's the point, just growth, we're not really looking for perfection. We're just looking for progression. So yeah, that's to answer your question. That's how I do it. It's
good. Very good.
Awesome. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. And so what would you share? What would you share? You're in a competitive industry. Let's talk about somebody that's just getting into business. What would you tell them? What would be the progression? We hear all the time, you got to be doing all this stuff, but, and we get overwhelmed. Just that alone, we get overwhelmed with the economics of it. We get overwhelmed of the time commitment or the learning curve or all that. What would you share with anybody out there that's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, maybe in that field now and feel like, what do you coach them through? What do you do to help them move to scale their business?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're just have the thoughts and wanting to start, or you have already started, you're early on, just don't. We tend to overthink things, and we tend to feel like it's all on us, and we have to do it all and be it all, and that's not necessarily true at all in my experience. I try to look at it like this: as long as I get like 1 to 3 things done per day, at least one, I've made progress towards my goal. So I think the biggest thing for me was like learning how to focus, just getting my mind and body to kind of get in alignment and focus on one task, and just kind of forget everything else for the time being, focus on the one thing. And then once I get that done, then I can move on to the next, because when I'm not taking action, I get really anxious. So if I'm feeling anxiety, I know I'm not taking the right action. So I kind of just, I pay attention to my emotions like a guidance system, and just keep taking action. And network is, you have to network. And as far as I know, you have to network. You have to get out there somehow. You have to talk to people. If you're afraid to talk to people, a lot of people are. Again, if you work on yourself, eventually you'll start to get more comfortable with who you are, and then you'll be able to present yourself better to others, because when we understand ourselves, we understand others as well. So it's just kind of getting out of my own way, and getting out of your own way, whoever it is, and just kind of like letting some of those beliefs go, question that. Why do I feel this way? Why do I think this? And yeah, as long as you're making progress, just do one thing a day. If that's all you got in you, that's great. That's more than some people. So do one thing a day, keep networking, and things by law will start to happen. You'll start to see opportunities where you didn't before. Things will start to kind of move into place, but you gotta hold that image in your mind, like of what you want, regardless of outside appearances. You got to keep thinking about how you want it to be. Regardless, you could be homeless, you could be hopeless, you could be strung out. You got to just hold that image of what you want, and just move into action with it. Become emotionally involved, and eventually, we don't know when. Law of gestation says that there's a time limit on everything: a time on goals, a time on how long it takes to grow a tree, a carrot, an apple. So remember that too. There is a law that dictates this stuff, and just have faith. You just got to have faith. Faith is probably like the biggest thing. Just know that your action is going to produce a result, and just look at that result. And if it's not what you want, adjust the action a little bit, and don't be self-critical.
Yeah, great advice. You said faith, and I think that's a powerful word, very spiritual. But I had a conversation recently with Rex Psych, and I think this is a type of forum where we can dialogue a little bit, learn from each other, and share what we know. But Rex Sykes says that faith is a very powerful word. It's also a very weak word. He says, you take faith and you make it certainty. That's the level of faith that we've got to have. That too many people have a weak faith, but move to faith with certainty, and it changes everything.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that a second. So the definition that I know of faith literally is the assured expectation of realities, though not yet beheld. So just like you said, Tom, I mean, it's having the assured expectation of though not yet beheld. So yeah, that's what faith is. And personally, I find my faith and strength in God, and to each their own. But for me, that's undeniable, especially the things I've been through and the things I've experienced. It's undeniable in my world. So yeah, that faith part, man, everybody has some faith, whether you think you do or don't, you do.
Right. Yeah. We're wrapping down here a little bit. I know we all have sort of some time. You're going to go work with some people this evening in your ministry, and
what are you going to talk about
in your teaching? But
I was going to ask him real quick. What are you going to discuss tonight?
Yes.
I'm just curious.
The topic tonight is overcoming self-doubt.
Oh, really?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yep. So we're going to dig into that different ways, and a lot of stuff we talked about honestly applies to that. So yeah, that's a big thing.
Just what you're saying, that getting through the obstacles of life, you got to take the same fortitude and faith and those type of things in your business. There's no difference, no relative. Our life is a business, right? It should be.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. We should handle things in an orderly way by law. But I would like to say this, is that what Bob Proctor teaches, most people don't study the words, the power of the words. And, we take faith lightly. We have a surface view, but if you really study, just like the quote you said there, it basically said certainty. So we need to move in that space and study, because the thoughts that we have, the words we think, the words we say dictate our reality. So you're an example. I look forward to having you on again. Maybe we talk a little more specific about marketing strategies, what you should be doing. But I just wanted to get you, share your story, because many times people out there think they got it so bad, and they let the little anthill get in the way.
Yeah.
And in reality, your story is phenomenal, and I encourage people to watch. I think I got that here somewhere, a banner. So once you get your full interview, they can go there, the YouTube as well. Plus, I did your interview last Friday, so people can search that out. You see your story. It's phenomenal. You're great. You're going to make an impact on a lot of people's lives. You are tonight. And if we can just serve one person, help one person in life, we fulfilled our calling in life. So I appreciate you being here. Anything else you'd like to say, Mark, or anything you'd like to close out?
No, I think he pretty summed up everything, and I can tell that Ray doesn't really, he cares about people. He's got a mission. Most important of all, he's not going to worry what someone's going to think about him. Once he makes up his mind to do things, he's going to move forward with the process. And I think as you were talking, that's what some folks really struggle. Like, what will my friends and family think? Or what will this guy think? Or it could even be just picking up the phone and calling somebody, but they go through all these rabbit holes, and you got to get over that and get on with it. And it's just how it is,
Yeah. That was a big thing for me for a lot of years. I used to be a people pleaser, very to the extreme. Yeah. I used to do what I thought other people wanted me to do, not even knowing them or and it ended up with a needle in my arm a lot of times, and disappointment, honestly. So that was something very challenging for me to get over, and I got to a point, I had maybe 2 years clean, And I was dating a girl that some other people in the recovery group I was in didn't approve of our relationship. And it's just something, I got this gift that just said, I don't care anymore. I don't care what you think, you know? And ever since
Right.
then, I've been working on that like I care about people, but you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that's the fine line. I can
it
tell you
is.
care about people, but you're not harboring like, gee, I wonder what Steve over here is thinking about me right now, or because Steve isn't thinking about you. I know when someone explained that to me a long time ago, it just kind of made sense. I'm like, yeah, I mean, so, and not everybody's gonna receive you and welcome you. And I don't mean to get biblical, but they didn't even with Christ Himself. They didn't accept Him. So I mean that's all part of the process, and that's been long before all of us been put on this planet. So that's a fact. That's not an opinion. So
Right.
Ray, we'll have you back.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
guys so much.
And I'll let you get to your group. They're waiting.
yeah, he's got to
for you.
go, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Thank
Ray,
you guys.
you're free to go, and Mark and I will wrap it up. And I'll be in touch with you, my friend.
All right, guys.
Thank you again for sharing, Ray. It was awesome.
My
Very
pleasure.
good.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate your time tonight.
God bless you.
All right.
We still have a couple comments, and Robert Brooker, the second Canadian here, since Patrick was the first, he says here, what was it? When I was 42, I began to believe it, that what others think is none of my business. Okay, there you go. Yeah, and that's true. Some people, I just really, it's not that I don't care about people, but I'm at that point in my life where I really don't care what you think anymore. Because, I heard this a long time ago. Someone in my family told it to me. Do your friends pay your bills? And I know that's kind of cold blooded, but, the way Ray shared his story, kind of impressed upon me that I can tell he's got a conviction about himself, and I can see him doing great things. That's why I said he's in a very competitive industry.
Yeah.
That's not a secret. I mean, that's tough.
Yeah. And, I think he set the stage of understanding, being coached, how important coaching is.
Right.
And have a mentor. It doesn't have to be some formal program, but somebody you can lean in and trust and guide you is so important. And
he's got compassion for people. I can tell that he's sincere.
Yeah.
And that's half the battle right there. I mean, that's why I asked him, what are you guys going to talk about tonight? And so my heart knows his face, but I don't remember. Okay. You got to explain that one, Robert. That's a different one. That's a deep thought. My heart knows his face, but I don't remember. Okay. I think I get that.
Yeah. But anything you want to do in closing?
No, just saying to thank you for everybody for being here. I actually came from somewhere to be here. Traffic as always is a pleasure cruise. I don't normally travel during spring break. Spring break's a big thing around here where people take off. I'm sure it is everywhere.
Yeah. Kids
are off for schools and, all that other fun stuff. But traffic was a bit of a challenge on the way back. But, I had a good, relaxing time mentally, physically, just got it together and, kept quiet and listened to some friends and neighbors that I once knew in this subdivision tell me their story and what they're doing. They're retired now, and that's why they moved to Florida, but they're not retired from life either. In fact, the gentleman that of the house, as they say, he is 81, 80. He's still doing consulting. So he had to leave and was flying somewhere. I mean, and I'm like, holy moly. And his wife, a retired nurse, in the health industry. So that was cool. But she's got a lot of projects going on. She runs that house. I mean, really.
what you said there is when you have, you know, if you're not doing something, retirement is, I call that you're in a pit, you know, it's just a matter of time to throw the dirt on you. So it's just a matter of staying active and doing what you love and serving people. And
Right.
I've created a life I don't want to retire from. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to continue doing those things I love doing, helping and serving people. And it may shift and change. It has over the last 40
Sure.
years of my career.
Sure.
But I've always migrated to where we can serve people, help people be the best they can. And with that all said, Mark, we can wrap her up and
Oh, that'd be beautiful. Yeah. Awesome.
we'll close it out with our ASEA, our corporate sponsor. And we'll be talking more about that as we go. And I'm going to put a banner up. So if anybody wants to check out what we're doing with redox signaling molecules, they can go to that scrolling link. So God bless everybody. Have a great evening. Good seeing you, Mark. Are
Good seeing
dancing
you, Tom.
tonight?
Yes, I believe so. You know, it's
Okay.
what, it's 6:45 or something, or 10 to
Yeah,
7.
well, it's past that. It's 7 o'clock right now. So we'll
Yeah.
let you go. God bless you, Sarah, to Gina. Okay.
Okay, I will.
All right, bud.
Night, everybody.
Good night.